Yeah, so yeah, I can hear you fine. Yep, it can go from fall to rise, and edge has different types. Keep talking, sorry, I'm writing this down. Yeah. What kind of modes are you expecting, Seth? Because I've clicked a bunch of things in this. Yeah, no, that makes sense because that's what I've been seeing in a lot of people is they're like, "Hey, look at this cool waveform I just captured." And I was like, "This has a record feature so I can grab like the multiple hundreds of captures and then scroll through them, but it seemed really shit to do that." Okay. So, okay, so there's this pass fail thing which has rules. I don't know what that is. There's a zoom feature. There's move Fourier transforms, there's cursors. Green A, the auto button. Yep. And then this pauses it, and then this, I don't I think that might just turn it off. I don't know what this lightning bolt does. Single trigger, it says. So is that saying this was the triggered thing then? So effectively this immediately triggered and is now okay. Exactly. Right. Right. Okay, that makes sense. So, right, so go here, go down to like the 2 volts, and then do a single trigger. Maybe the edge type is rise. Oh, okay, the trigger's on the right hand side. Hmm. Ah, okay. That makes sense. Without any indication, but that makes complete. So if I could try it now to do the little thing, and it'll try to do the upload, and then it should set the reset, and then I should capture the state of yes, yes, yes. Wonderful, Seth. You are an excellent trainer. Look at this education. Mm-hmm. Rise. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and I think it already did it the one time, so let me just start it over. Oh, yes. Man, no one ever talked about the single snapshot stuff. I was watching all sorts of oscilloscope tutorials and okay, so it stopped, but I didn't get anything that useful looking. So I have edge fall. Let me see what you can see. Okay, you can't see this other window, can you? No, okay. So one of the things you can't see. Okay. So like 100 nanoseconds? Oh, okay. So you can't actually see, but I have also another window. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Exactly. Exactly. I was literally going to I was walking through the options basically, and you weren't responding to them because it has pretty much the entire UI is there. Um, yeah. Yeah. Here, let me 1 second here. Okay. I was just gonna also send you a, a screenshot of the UI just because that's like 90% of what's going on. 15-second GIF incoming. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna find the the docs for it real quick because it also has the UI piece. Yeah, pretty easily by just talking louder. Here is the technical spec.s from their website as well. Let's see here. Boom. Yeah, it's someone programmed it. Yep, it just floats along. I think I can actually, since I don't need to see Slack, what I'll do is I'll switch the captures to just a well, no, not video capture device. Display capture, that's good. Hide these, modify. That's funny. Okay, it doesn't want to pull the whole display capture. Display capture. Why is my display capture showing nothing at all? Is it very small? Well, looks like display capture doesn't work, so which I have no idea why. That's like usually the one that always works. But I can't capture the whole monitor and get that floating window for some reason. Sorry. Yeah. All right. So describe normal mode one more time. Oh, okay. Hence normal. Okay, so I'd assume that normal mode is just play, because that's single trigger, and it's always showing it. So the constantly redisplaying is not normal mode. That's called display. Right. Auto set is when all the variable or the parameters are set automatically by the machine. All right. So let's see here. Normal. Trigger mode normal. That looks like a thing that we probably have. All right. So on the fall, okay. Boom. Uh-huh. Okay. That's where it is. That's exactly where it is. Yep. So it is before we enter the capacitor's body. Okay. And keep talking, sir. I'll do that. Oh, okay. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Let's we don't live in an ideal universe. All right. So I'll start there. Do that. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, there's a hold off on the trigger section. Oh, when you said trigger delay, it says there's a hold off and then 100 nanoseconds. So I was wondering if that might be your delay. So should I just increase that number? Sure.
Source. This is channel 2.
Hmm. Yeah, okay. I got more time by adding hold off. Nope, we're not seeing it go up. When the time divider is longer than 100 milliseconds, trigger will be set default as auto mode. So I could go under 100 ms. Right. There we go. There you go. Uh, 50 ms. And I think I can add time cursors to measure how long that is. Let me see here. I think so. Sure. That makes sense. Oh, motherfucker. Why did you just change things? Okay. Where's my fucking cursor? Mark cursor time. There we go. Alright, so I'll do this again because you're a son of a bitch. So like x1 is 1, x2 is negative 22. So about 20 ms. Yeah, if you go to 20, it's basically exactly one divider. Seems like we're doing that. I mean, 20 ms is way. Oh, okay. Uh, I could calculate rise over run, or do I need to do some calculus for the slope? Yeah, that's what it's looking at right now. No, this is, yeah, I switched it to 20. Okay, that's 10. Right now I have a zero point 0.1 UF micro or electrolytic shitty capacitor because I don't have any other zero point 0.1 UF capacitors. Yeah, and assuming everything's powered, like you mean like we have the 5-volt rail actually working and stuff? Yeah, that's all on. I tested that with a multimeter. I can check that. Yeah, no, I mean, it can't hurt, and it's only gonna take an extra second here. Just jam these in the power holes. Yeah, that's good. Good advice. That's a fun DC power source. That's not usually what I would have expected. 50 millisecond now, yeah. Could be. That's incredibly. But it's fucking plugged into a USB cable. It's a fucking FTDI. What? Why am I doing something different? This isn't. Yeah. I mean, I can put a different power source. There's no reason I have to use the FTDI unless somehow the power is used to indicate something in the line. Okay. Yeah, the FTDI has the 5-volt ground and then 3 pins that I connect the reset and then the transmission and the receiving, which are flipped on the Arduino. No worries. So there's a total of five connected pins on the FTDI. Red for power, red for plus, black for negative, and then I've got the reset on orange that goes to the capacitor and then goes to the reset pin on the chip, and then I've got the RXT to the transmission, so that's the pin 2 on the FTDI to pin 3 on the chip, and pin 3 on the FTDI to pin 2 on the chip. And then I've got 0.1 UF capacitors between the power for the chip just to do some evening, and yeah, that capacitor between the reset wire and the wire to the first pin. Yep. Okay. Okay. So, do you have any advice on the fact that my probe doesn't really want to, like, do I just kind of poke the line? Because it's kind of like a hook. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, yeah, sorry, you just said, like, ideally right on the pins, and I can't do that. So that's what I was like. So say I can't do that. And okay, right. So it always has to be on the correct side. That makes sense. So it's literally only a conductive thing to that, and there's no. Yeah, because wires are literally like capacitive as well, and blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right, well then, do this bitch again on each thing. Um, yeah. Yes. That's exactly what I got. Well, I had 2.6 because this isn't that precise of a way to set it. They're like, oh, you'd like analog control, so there's a slider, like a fucking flash controller that you click and has momentum and goes between the values. It's like, there's so many nice things in this, and so many things that you're like, what the fuck? Well, and I'll take a click wheel, or like I'd even take a click wheel that I had to scroll with the mouse that actually had individual like value association. Anyway, so I've moved all of the wires that come off the FTDI to one pin offset on the breadboard, so I can literally put a little scope wire down between each pin and the breadboard. So literally these signals have to be reaching the fucker, and the fucker is definitely all the way pushed in. So double checking. So that's the reset. Looks exactly the same. Yep, it's completely boring. So the next thing to do is really check the power stuff. Sorry, that's what I'm going to start next on because I'm doing it one by one. So I'm going to just pull this little shit pin out. I'm going to go after the capacitor. And we're going to plug this little bitch boy in. And this should be positive power. I have this on trig. So I don't want a single trigger. Really, I just need auto set for the power and ground. 1 volt divisions. Yeah, we got 5 volts. And I don't know. Yeah, boring 5 volts. That's good. Pull that out. Oh, yeah. Mounting this kit. Right. And so this is the negative. Oh, this seems to be to 0 volts again instead of negative 5 volts. Oh, I don't know why I thought the negative would be the opposite, but it's just 0. Right. The potential between the two. Right. Right. Okay. So this is dead as a doornail, which is what we'd expect. I was using the negative of the micro as the reference. Was that wrong? As the reference. So when I watched the little video or whatever, it was like attach the ground thing to the whatever the ground is, and then attach your probe to the thing you're probing. So I attached the ground to the negative on the micro or on the FTDI. Sorry, um, and then okay, sorry, and then where's okay? So when you say that, you mean like the metal case of the USB stuff when you're talking about that. Ah, okay. Yeah, okay. So I did do that before I did any of the scope stuff, is I just went through and did a continuity test between everything with the little beeperman because that's the easiest fucking thing in the world. Okay. It's time to transmit. Who the fuck can I put that thing? There it goes. Man, the just teaching me the different modes, really, that alone is like, fuck, worth the all the mumble time you've ever cost me. Yeah. All right, so we have latched on to transmit. So I should probably look at this data sheet and see how it transmits things. Otherwise, how the fuck would I know? Yeah, I've heard about. I think I even have a different UART thing, but I was like, I don't. So, what's the difference between a UArt and a US art? Okay. So, which part of this data sheet should I read to figure out what the voltage for the transmission line is, or what I should expect? '29. All right. Electrical characteristics. That's what I want. Okay. Power supply. So there's the capture. So that doesn't seem like a good time div. It does look like communication. Is it by magnitude or? No, it's not magnitude. Got it. Okay. 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 So we think, based on this, that this pin's probably good. So I'm going to go to the next pin then. That was pin 2, which would be the uh, receiver pin. I'm now going to pin 3 for the transmission pin. And let's start this again. So this is the receive, and I'm not seeing a damn thing, which would make sense if, yeah. Well, there's your problem. So I think then testing the next chip maybe is a good idea. If the receiving's not working after everything else works, that sounds like the chip's correct. Yeah. Well, and so just to verify on that, keep going. I mean, I could get an ISP. I was thinking about it. I would just like I want to know that that's a good way to spend, 40 bucks or my time building one for 20 bucks or whatever. Okay, then I'll buy one. That's good advice. Okay, what should I be doing it with? Yep. Okay. All right. Because I mean, the main like okay. I'm not like I have no ties to any particular technology stack at all. I haven't even really dived into the programming bit of this, which I assumed was going to be terrible on some level. But most of the time, the stuff I was doing wasn't going to be like, productized too much. It's really basic stuff starting here. But I'm going to look in the M Cortex. Is there any specific processors in that land that are, because, my goals are really cheap, work with plentiful of jelly bean parts or whatever, can work with the basic sensors and do the basic things without me having to put in a bunch of sweat equity pretty much. So yeah. Right, okay. Which I honestly don't give a fuck about the Arduino board, but really, yeah. Okay. That's a good advice. I mean, really, it's like, do you want to use, is the project good enough to use an Arduino with? Like, are you willing to pay that much money, or just go get your own shit that's better? Yeah, no, I'm like, man, how many hours have I spent on this dumb bullshit? And I'm getting frustrated on the most basic parts that should just work and not really on the thing I want to do. Like, I totally am, yeah, on that page. Yeah, and honestly, my biggest, I'm gonna go back to Mumble and stop this.